Oh, my dear, sweet, beleaguered Mega Man aficionados, prepare to cry like an anime fan on prom night after accidentally whispering their waifu's name into their homely date's ear, and instead of quiffing on the tip of his penis at the stroke of midnight, as she had often dreamt of ever since she was just a little girl, she tells everyone how he's secretly in love with some 1,000-year-old cum dumpster with the hair of a Sonic the Hedgehog fan character, and all the other kids throw open barbecue sauce packets and baked beans all over his last good suit, ensuring he'll never make a good impression at job interviews, and will be forced to make ends meet, reviewing shitty video games on YouTube for life-weary boomers instead. Mighty No 9, which is a misrepresentation, as there is distinctly a 9 right after the no. I mean, if anything, this glorified sequel to the MS-DOS Mega Man games should have been called Mighty Yes 9. Is the rotting placenta discarded following the birth of Mega Man over 30 years ago, hastily buried in the yard like a cat who knew too much about the Thoros Foundation, unceremoniously uninterred like Robert Reed after the graveyard caretakers realized exposure to his AIDS corpse was turning the earthworms gay, after they found all the other corpses with their assholes eaten out, then reshaped like a dog shit in a waffle iron into a blatant plagiarization of Mega Man so bloody disgusting that, despite its Unity stock asset graphics, it would have been more at home on a maxi pad than an iPad. This gibbering monstrosity, locked in the attic like Rosemary Kennedy after her father had her lobotomized to keep her from revealing that she had been forced over the years to give Joseph P. Kennedy the most explosive head since John F. Kennedy, and fed only fish heads in the occasional pocket change of hipsters, the Mighty No. 9, or as most people call it, shit, is what happens when idiots play looser than Zoe Quinn's pussy at Kotaku headquarters with their money. They threw $4 million at a guy who was famous for being in the room while other people created Mega Man, thus marking him as the video game equivalent of the Beatles' original drummer Pete Best or their original strangled cat impersonator Yoko Ono, and he squandered it all on Mighty No. 9 spin-offs that would never bear fruit, instead of focusing his heart, soul, and hair plugs on the culmination of a million Mega Man child fans' hopes and dreams. Inafune attempted to pimp out a Mighty No. 9 TV show that was never picked up, a spin-off game that never came out, and an official line of Mighty No. 9 branded colostomy bags, proving once and for all that the number 9 in Mighty No. 9 actually stands for 4.5 number 2s, as that was how many burrito and whiskey shits I was able to squeeze out before my bag burst all over the place, ruining my best assless chaps and niece's birthday party for the second year in a row. Sorry, Shaquanda. Although to be fair, Concept may have actually chosen the title Mighty No. 9 simply because if they had called it the more accurate, irredeemable bucket of fermented gorilla cum, Don Lemon would have sued them for stealing the title of his autobiography. In this Mega Manic Depression, you play as Beck, a Rockman clone so generic he should come wrapped in a plain white store brand label, and who has almost as little soul as he has hair on his balls. For some reason, Dr. White when it suits his needs, but is secretly a Jew. Dr. Patrick Klepek's me avatar with melted caramel chews for hair. This secret reverse Sean King, aka Dr. Once You Go Blackwell, You Never Go Back Well, designed his killer robots to resemble young hairless children who were probably given just enough sapience to understand what's being done to them and suffer, but not enough self-determination to say no and slap the camcorder out of John Podesta's hand. Assisting Beck and Dr. White Privilege on their amazing quest to beat up the world's most evilest button are Dr. Sanda, whom is such a gelatinous mound of smegma-encrusted tit fat that I can only assume his doctorate is in the fine arts of inhaling pudding rather than in an actual medical field, and Call, who puts the call in inadequately flat booty call, crawls around the floor like the unrepentant slut that I am, utilizes a magical barrier to deflect Dr. Sanders' cum when the insulin shots make him frisky, does her best Mr. Hands impression when she restores her energy by getting plugged from behind by animals, and faces off against a gigantic one-eyed monster that tries desperately to give her the nut, but ultimately wolfs down his own balls instead. The actual meat of Mighty No. 9, its gameplay and levels are passable, much in the same way that the average speedrunner is just barely passable. And by that, I don't mean as a woman, I mean as a human being. Despite an over-reliance on glowing grape jelly walls that kill you faster than a zygote conceived by a blue-haired girl, the complete lie the developers concocted about Beck being able to copy the forms of regular enemies, which grant worthless 5-second-long jelly bean power-ups instead, and Keiji Inafune's inexplicable continued fetish for watching from a corner with his pants around his ankles while big American buck developers rape the shit out of his ideas. Mighty No. 9 isn't a terrible game, but honestly is painfully average what the Mega Man community deserves after all these years and $4 million, unless of course those fans are also Canadian, in which case, by Allah, all they deserve is a nuclear holocaust. I am also a little bit perturbed that, instead of killing bosses outright, you beat them up, rob them of self-determination, and steal their underpants in a manner so familiar that it makes me wonder if the developers at Concept haven't been breaking into my room while I'm out on the hunt and reading my diary. However, my distinguished digital debutantes, while you can switch powers in real time, the process isn't just cumbersome, it's cumber a lot, and most of the special powers received from downed bosses are as ineffective as a decorative "we don't drive in your toilet, so please don't shit in our streets" placard in India. For example, instead of giving you the armor and momentum of a tank, Seismic's cripple power enables you to remember what it was like to have once been Superman, and weep as your wife slaps that one part of your forehead that still has sensation with a rusty radio antenna as punishment for keeping her up all night with your constant blinking. Cryo, the pun-loving Big Daddy knockoff, who transforms regular popsicles into red-tipped rocket pops after she uses them as tampons, imbues Beck with the power to shoot a pathetic, droopier payload than my 15th scoop of penis poop of the day after an especially erotic 24-hour-long Family Matters marathon. And Dinah, the only black woman in the entire game, if you don't count that little bit of Michelle Obama that's in every game developed in California after she busted a couple of fat nuts in the water supply that is, lives up to that 30% herpes infection rate statistic by granting Beck a protrusion on his little head. Overall, while it isn't the tour de force that all the shit-eating hipsters who funded the game's development, despite having never actually played a Mega Man game past the second level in their lives expected, Mighty No. 9 is okay. Put it next to all the actual Mega Man games and it's easily better than half of them, and for the $5 you wind up paying for it, you'll have an okay time. And hey, as in the Bible, Mighty No. 9 is all about one man's struggle to purify the taint of women from society. And for that much, we should all be thankful.